Did America betray Afghanistan? Leave it to fight the Taliban alone? Did Americans silently flee another lost war? These questions were asked all week. It began on the 2nd of July when US troops vacated Afghanistan's Bagram base late in the night, without any notice, without handing the base over to anyone. US troops left behind thousands of cars, 3.5 million items, some 5,000 Taliban prisoners, and a long list of questions. One such question was put to the US President Joe Biden the morning after Bagram. He evaded it, saying that he wanted to talk about happy things. 7 days later, Biden walked up to the White House East Room, this time with a dispassionate speech, prepared to silence millions questioning America's actions. Here's what he said.
Said in April, the United States did what we went to do in Afghanistan, to get the terrorists who attacked us on 9/11 and deliver justice to Osama bin Laden, and to degrade the terrorist threat to keep Afghanistan from becoming a base from which attacks could be continued against the United States. We achieved those objectives. That's why we went. We did not go to Afghanistan to nation build. So let me ask those who want us to stay. How many thousands more Americans' daughters and sons were you willing to risk? How long would you have them stay? I will not send another generation of Americans to war in Afghanistan with no reasonable expectation of achieving a different outcome.
What outcome is Biden talking about? What did America achieve in Afghanistan? It spent $2 trillion, 20 years, and lost 2,400 men. But did America win this war? Winners don't pull out in the dead of night. Biden says the US has achieved its objectives. What were America's objectives? What was its mission in Afghanistan? Number one, to demolish Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. Number two, to rein in terror. And number three, to stop the use of Afghanistan as a terrorist base. Have they achieved any of this? The Taliban is growing stronger. The Al-Qaeda is very much around. Forget reining in terror. They have legitimized terrorists as stakeholders. As for the use of Afghanistan as a terrorist base, there's every indication that it's still happening. So what objectives has the US achieved? Look at what they've been up to. 13 days after the 9/11 attacks, then President George W. Bush told the US Congress that necessary actions are being taken to, quote unquote, counter the terrorist threat to the United States. Then on the 9th of October 2001, Bush said that the US military had begun combat action in Afghanistan against Al-Qaeda terrorists and their Taliban supporters. He said the military action was part of the US campaign against terrorism and was, quote unquote, designed to disrupt the use of Afghanistan as a terrorist base of operation. On the 7th of October 2001, the US began airstrikes in Afghanistan. By November, America had toppled the Taliban government in Kabul. Many Al-Qaeda members fled to Pakistan. 10 years after invading Afghanistan, the US finally managed to kill Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. He was found in Abbottabad in Pakistan. Justice has been done, Barack Obama declared on the 1st of May 2011. 10 years later, from the same East Room, President Biden says America has achieved its objectives in Afghanistan. Sorry, it hasn't. Al-Qaeda still has its presence in Afghanistan, not as powerful perhaps as it was 2 decades back, but ready to rebuild and reintegrate itself. You see, it doesn't take very long for a terror group to do that. The US should know this, given its experience with the ISIS in West Asia. And the ISIS, by the way, also operates in Afghanistan. So much for taking out terrorists. What about the Taliban? It's making global headlines with its conquest. As we speak, the Taliban claims to control 85% of Afghanistan, and it threatens to conquer the rest. And the Americans couldn't care less. They put the Taliban on the talking table, and now they're telling Afghanistan's neighbors to act responsibly to ensure stability. The peace deal had little to do with peace. It was a botched-up exit strategy, as much a misadventure as the rest of this American operation. 2 years of peace talks. But where is the peace? America has always known that the war in Afghanistan is doomed. It is unwinnable. As early as 2009, Biden had warned Obama against deploying more troops in Afghanistan, but the US chose to stretch the stalemate for another 12 years. 12 years. Hours before Biden's speech, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said, and I'm quoting, "It's a 20-year war that has not been won militarily. And America will have no mission accomplished moment." For a terrorist, you see, surviving is winning. The Taliban is not just surviving, it is thriving. So while the US lost the war militarily, pounded bombs and declared civilian casualties as collateral damage, the least it could have done was to bring in a sense of stability to Afghanistan, train the Afghan army, help it maintain the status quo. America failed in that too. As we speak, Afghan forces are fleeing to Tajikistan. Afghanistan is slipping back to doctrinaire theocracy. Today, an ordinary Afghan is 30% more insecure than she was in 2001. Women may once again be confined to their homes. Girls may no longer be able to attend school. Afghanistan is going back in time, and this reversal has America's failure written all over it. Some reports say that Americans fled Bagram because they had intel that the Taliban would attack the airbase. Well, so much for reigning in terror. So much for a favorable outcome. Joe Biden says America was never in Afghanistan for nation building. Of course it wasn't. America invaded Afghanistan to show that it was a superpower, to show that it could drop bombs anywhere it pleased. It dropped what it called the mother of all bombs in Afghanistan as recently as 2017. It turned an entire country into its war laboratory, and when the experiment kept going wrong, it picked up its bags and left, saying, "We've achieved what we wanted to, and building your nation is not our responsibility." To me, it doesn't sound like a victory speech or a declaration of mission accomplished. In Afghanistan, America lost not just a war, but also its face. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.